aeronautics school in New Delhi. I tell you what I find. We produce graduates. We don't produce professionals. I struggle, what Swaminathan said, I struggle with the same things. And I left India just after finishing my graduation. My points are very simple. At school level, or even in the university level, we have to look at the major gaps. Problem solving is a major area. If you want to get into aviation industry, problems are every day, every hour. Students in India, we learn the answers. But industry need people who can solve the problems, who can ask questions. Systems thinking. Aviation world don't operate as a silo. It's not a badminton player, one player. It's a team effort. You know, you have operations, engineering, ground handlers, pilots, all of them working together to take this plane away. So that means everything is interconnected. So in school, the systems thinking that is not there is important for the students. Communication, I don't want to talk much, but already Swaminathan mentioned about it, but I just want to say many technical savvy people that I have met, they're very good in their technical part, very good, excellent. But please ask them to write, present, influence, collaborate. These becomes their career limitations. I can keep on going on because there are the areas that I think that major gaps are there. Digital capability. You know, one of the instances is this. If you're asking today, you ask me to pay by using the apps and everything else, maybe I'm digitally savvy enough that I can pay, but I've met so many people in India, my age or a little bit older than me, and asking them to download an app and pay using the app, and you will see them struggling. Especially go to post office when they want to send a parcel to their kid or something, and post office says only way you can pay is digitally, not even credit cards, and you can see them struggling. So digital capability, data literacy, AIs, familiarity, digital tools, not only ITs here. And very important one that I've learned, aviation sector is not only India, it's global. You know, communication that Swaminathan mentioned is so important. If you are a pilot, you're talking to ATC controller in US or in say UK or even in Africa, that communication is very important. So a global exposure is important. You know, at schools, if we say aviation is there, explain them what ICAO is. You know, we have experts like Swaminathan, or Babaji, who can tell them about ICAO, why this is there. Part of United Nations culture. You ask them, UNESCO, everybody knows. World Health Organization, everybody knows. Ask any student in UN who manages, who regulates aviation. I don't think it's happened. I've not seen it. So because aviation is fundamentally global, start putting that into their curriculum. Last but the least, again I go back, your own presentation. You know, don't learn just to answer, learn from the book. I'm trying to read from the Aviation Week that my friend just gave it to me, but get smarter than that. You know, start asking good questions, like Weber is asking us, right? Giving us some hardship. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think I've spent last 6-7 years going to schools talking about aviation. As you rightly said, sometimes something as basic as what's the difference between aircraft and an airline. Children don't. They think Air India and Airbus are the same thing. Right? It's a practical ground reality experience, and much needs to be done. So over to you, Baba sir and Amit sir. I would like to keep the answers a little bit short. We are running out of time.
All right.
Yeah.
Time is always a constraint when you are talking meaningful things. Time is never a constraint when you are just chit-chatting and hours going. Yeah. So I am from public relations. Last 2 decades I spent in communication. So if I do not use the word communication, तो बोलेगा बाद आप दोस्त भी कहते बोला ना आपने communication को क्यों नहीं touch करा? So my thought is that communication succeeds only when the understanding works. Without understanding, you cannot have a successful or effective communication. Now you mentioned the schools. Schools you mean under 12th or beyond?
Yes, under 12th.
Right.
Yeah.
So for that you must have, you should have invited the principals. I would have given them a proper tuition. But next session, or you send the video of the session to the principals of the schools.
Definitely.
It is not that the schools were not teaching aviation. Schools used to teach the aviation, and that's why I am sitting here and I'm a known aviator today. My hobby was aero modeling in school. In school, I had joined the NCC and I had flown the aero model at Safdarjung Airport since I was living in Saudi. So schools had the aviation training, and we have developed the understanding from that, and I have worked for the aviation. It's not that I work for the aviation because of any technical things, but because of requirements over there. I earlier worked for the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, then I came and to the aviation. Maybe my subconscious mind was bringing me here. But now what I want to tell is that the school should have, when I came to the International Airport Authority, which is now got evaporated under the guards of AAI, but International Airport Authority, we used to have a system of school children visit to schools. We used to invite them, and they used to love, and they used to have a lot of questions. They used to develop some kind of understanding. Okay, I want to be a pilot. I want to be an engineer. And you think any career stream in life, every stream is useful to the airport. So you may be an engineer, you may be an architect, you may be an HR, you may be social science. Every discipline is adopted and accepted in the airport environment ecosystem.
Correct.
So we must promote that, not individual, because students should feel that airport is one place. Whatever we develop a skill, we will be honored over there.
Sure.
So that is the first requirement the school should have. And school used to have. Now why schools have stopped doing that? Because the industry has not supported that. You see, everybody wants to be a doctor, everybody wants to be an engineer. Why? Because industry is giving that cheers to the parents. Parents want that my children should be doctor, engineer. Now they are seeing what is the result. That doctors have become a patty doctor, engineers have become a patty engineer. Now what is the future? Future is that there will be a cobblers in demand. There will be what we call a plumber in demand. I am telling you seriously. Farmers in demand, and there will be electricians in demand. Tomorrow your AC breaks down, just a trip, and you will call the engineer. Engineer is very expensive. Electrician is not available. Your tap is leaking. You want a plumber. Plumber is not available. But engineer is what you call on app you call. You charge minimum 500 rupees. But you got a plumber nearby, you will charge 50 rupees and do the service. So we are losing that trust. That understanding is missing. So we should inculcate that knowledge, that attitude among the schools. And I personally feel there should be some kind of a skilling authority. They have got a lot, but they should be dedicated skill development, whatever you gave name, but it should be an authoritative thing which should judge the gap and availability, and that should work filling those gaps. So that's what is my take. Since the time is limited, but otherwise we can write a book on this. Right? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Amit sir, very quickly, if you could sum up.
I would like to add that I've seen management in aviation very closely across the airlines, airports, and other sectors. I've been an airport director as well. I feel that that management careers in aviation is a very kind of understated. Nobody knows that there are management jobs in aviation. Every student who comes out of class 12 either goes to engineering or MBA, regular MBA, finance or marketing. But there are now aviation management MBAs and BBAs available in the country with various universities, and that is where that is one area where there is huge opportunities are there across the terminal operations, airports, ground handling agencies, oil marketing companies, airlines, even GCCs are coming up. And GCCs is going to India. Airbus already has GCCs in India. They started with the Engineering Development Center in Bangalore, and now they are upgrading to GCC. So that is those two, three areas which are there can be populated down to students, and they should be aware of that these are various other career streams in the aviation as well.
Perfect. Now, to sum up, I think one common word that came from all the panelists was clear communication, understanding, and the ability to ask the question. I would redirect this burden on my audience, and let's say we started today. I'm opening the forum to questions and answers. Feel free to ask us difficult questions, clear questions, and we are a little bit short on time, but we'll take a couple of them. So please, if somebody can pass on the mic, and whatever you have to ask from the fellow panelists that are there. Anybody in the audience?
Before audience is thinking, let me take the second question. First question, I had posted on the LinkedIn that I have been invited for this talk. And my fellow being on the LinkedIn should help me. What should I address? So one AME engineer told me, sir, you must address that AMEs are just being used in the marketing, not on the ground. So I think that while you are thinking the question, I must address that. So my advice to that friend is that they are marketing AMEs very good, right? But the people who qualify AME, they must ensure that they should have a plan to upgrade, like in pilots. Now you get the CPL, but CPL doesn't make you fly the aircraft. You will have to see which aircraft I am going to fly, and that aircraft you need to get the training. The same way AME or any engineer who can, he must have a plan, next plan on his own to prepare for the industry, for the person who has hired him, and then it will come out of that rabbit. And the second question.
Somebody has a question in the audience. Can we send somebody from
what happened? We are.
I think it's too much of communication. Please, Yes, sir. Sorry.
So I just wanted to add something to this entire conversation.
Yes, sir.
And it goes like this, So you're talking about school, you're talking about universities. Now somebody is talking about the sector skill council. We got the aerospace and aviation sector skill council.
Indeed,
One of the fundamental problems is it's very large as the sky. Aerospace in itself is a standalone thing in an aviation, so how much they be in a position of concentrate. And the people who handle it, they're doing a good job, but then despite that, it's not adequate. One of my senior officers used to say, good is not good enough. So that's how it goes. And then you have these courses that the other panelists was making a mention. When the universities do the BBA in aviation management, there are many universities which now offer BSc in aviation sciences, which is very interesting. I find that they're doing a good job at that. But again, one of the fundamental problems is UGC acts in one direction. The VGCA training directorate issues a different mandate. And then the sector skill council does something differently. Everybody is working in silos. And one of the other big problem in our country is, people establish their fiefdoms. Everybody wants to become the boss, their own turf. No dog, in my street would allow another dog to enter it. And that's the turf one. And I think we have to, everybody has to come together for the benefit of the entire community. In fact, the students, the parents, the teachers, trainers, everybody. Because there are two ways of training people. An organization recruits a person and trains a person. That's what happened to me. I did my BSc in physics, joined as an air traffic controller 1 year through my ab initio training. So that's one thing. And the other thing is you have something which is semi-finished goods, and there's a huge advantage for organizations because then they can cut down on the training time. Instead of a year, they can do a 1-month bridge course, and then finally, the finishing school kind of a thing is what they should run. And that will be a huge advantage for organizations too. So I think organizations also need to cooperate. The WAI, Bharatiya Viman Patal Pradhikaran, is now running a program called Pradipti, and they invite students. You are talking about the airport entry permits. I think people are into it. I took 2 batches of Repo Aviation College yesterday to ATC and the ATFM Center in the last few days. So, because seeing is believing. True. I mean, like you go and interact, you see, even models are not good enough. So I would say that they should go to the centers and then really see what's happening. So I think people have to start working towards it. I know you have sponsors like Dalgotia, I mean, each one works in a different direction. If in case we can all pool in, our strengths and then sit together and then have one uniform curriculum, that will really help us.
Okay, thank you. We have one question from the audience.
Right, with your permission, I just want, because the beauty of when sitting with Swaminathan is that is very provocative and
Could you
give you some things which you have forgotten.
Yeah.
I had in my mind, sometime I written also, India should have some NAC system, NAC mission, National Aviation Skill Development. So India shall have a NAC mission that will resolve all issues flagged by Swaminathan. Right, sir. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, we have a question from there. Could we just pass on the mic? Somebody can go on with the mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay.
Good afternoon, panel sitting here. I just have a very lame question.
There's no question is there. That's what we were discussing. The whole point of this panel was that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
My name is Matangi, and I'm a trainer with V36 Aviation Academy. I myself have 25 years of experience in aviation industry, teaching in various backgrounds but repeatedly we have been talking about pollution, the environment is struggling really hard and now actually we are facing this El Nino and El Nino. So what exactly the aviation industry is looking for? Because aviation industry is progressing. We have been seeing, मैंने अपने बचपन से देखा है, 3 decades तो मुझे हो गए देखते. Aviation industry is progressing and it is going to progress and India is shining. So what India in terms of aviation industry and in terms of pollution is doing so that we can be the world leader or at least we can increase our flights and aviation and control on the pollution.
I think I'll give the mic to someone. Yeah.
Matangi, out of the 10 Dasa Mahavidyas, is a name associated with learning, Saraswati. So, good question. It's nothing to do with India alone. I mean, it's a global problem. So, there is something called the CORSIA, the Carbon Offsetting Reduction Scheme in International Aviation. And so now airlines are supposed to, whatever in terms of that was a baseline in 2019. So you can read something more. I want to be brief. So 2019 is a baseline. So all the airlines, whatever they were in terms of the fuel burn, because the rule of the thumb is for every kilogram of ATF, 3.2 kilograms of COX NOx, so the carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and nitrogen oxides and all. Is being sent into the air. So that is the kind of pollution that's taking place. And given that, the baseline has already been taken into consideration, and there is a carbon neutral growth, which is what the ICAO is now aiming at. And all the countries which are a signatory to the Chicago Convention also, and this is all covered under Annex 16, which talks about environment, Part 4. Even noise pollution is covered in Annex 16, environment is also covered. Other than that, there are so many other things in terms of processes, Like, I'll give you a very good example. This performance-based navigation which has come up. So aircraft, the required navigation performance. Aircraft positions are now to a pinpoint accuracy. So earlier when an aircraft reported I'm 100 miles from Delhi, actually the pilot was bluffing. He was 120 miles or 80 miles. He wasn't sure. They were doing a long time back. I'm talking about the dead reckoning method. But now, if an aircraft says he is at point so 100, if you draw a 0.1 nautical mile circle around that aircraft, it is RLP 0.1, that is exactly where the aircraft is. So the advantage you have is that earlier, for example, between Mumbai and Calcutta, we had a route where the separation between two aircraft at the same level was something like 10 minutes or 80 miles between them, if they're doing a speed of 480 knots, you can now pack on RNAV 2 routes 5 aircraft. Every 20 miles you can have an aircraft. The separation minima reduces, which means, like on a scooter, what is the kind of fuel efficiency? The maximum fuel efficiency would be if you drive between 40 and 50. You drive slower or you drive faster, you're going to burn more fuel. Same thing happens to aircraft. So every type of aircraft has got a specific band where if it operates, it consumes lesser fuel, it burns lesser fuel. So we are in a position to now accommodate more aircraft. I just gave you one example. So you got Gagan, which is a space-based, augmentation system. So an aircraft has landed in Udaipur and that's all over the news, using Gagan. So Gagan provides a 0.1 en route accuracy, RNP1. So there are lots of things which are being done in terms of harnessing and leveraging technology today. That with that we are in a position to have better procedures. Engines are becoming better and better, 25, 30, 40% more efficiency. Preventive and predictive maintenance schedules that you're talking about. I mean, we didn't have too much of time, otherwise we were supposed to talk about MROs and opportunities there as well. So when you do all that, you tend to probably reduce the fuel burn, and in a way that's going to help the airline because they're going to reduce operation costs, and then on the other hand, you're also trying to address issues pertaining to environment. And ICAO out of all the several other initiatives, including safety, efficiency, air navigation, capacity, security, and so on and so forth, also focuses on the environment in a big way. And India is also super subscribed to all these measures.
I would like to add one thing here is sustainable aviation fuel. And SAF is coming into India in 2027. It is mandated that 1% of the ATL will be SAF. And a lot of work is going on and involved in SAF as well. So one is that part, and the other part which is coming in the short sector mobility is the advanced air mobility, eVTOLs, and electric aircraft, eVTOLs, which we are talking about. So these two things will be the game changer in the aviation industry. That nowadays ethanol is a big talk of the town, big pros and cons of course. And when SAF will also come beyond 1%, 2%, 3%, there will be some challenges there as well. But SAF is obviously coming by rule, and then the electric mobility is also coming.
Okay. I think we just have time for one quick question. Somebody raised hands in the back. Yeah, please.
You were talking about communication. So in aviation we have different language. Like I have came here before also. There were many people who were not from aviation background. Even I also knew about aviation when I did my graduation. Before that I was not able to know that much. So the communication gap here comes from that sector also, because when we come in aviation, so except electronics, I don't think so. Like communication here, we start with non-verbal communication. Like sir was saying, communication is a big factor, but here non-verbal communication plays a vital role also, because the people who are working on the ground, they don't have that much energy that they can communicate verbally and non-verbally both. So like we see at the time of when aircraft go to hangar, the time landing and takeoff also, there are airmen who does all handling things. So that time also their non-verbal communication plays a big role. But if we see on a basic traffic rules, there are communication is different. So like people don't understand that airlines non-verbal communication. Like we have squad code, we have pan code, and different types of language. So how we can take these things to ground level so that the safety sector can increase. Have you understood?
Please,
see, there is a specific English used in aviation, which is called aviation English.
Yes, sir.
And level 4 is a level required at ATC Communications.
Yes, sir.
Which the pilots use. There are various levels, and there is a proper certification. All those aviation terminologies, which are standardized globally, those come from that aviation English level 4. Then non-verbal communication, of course, is aircraft marshalling and all those things, which are IATA conducts a lot of courses on the ground operations and all those, wherein non-verbal communication are taken place.
Okay, so I think we are pretty much out of time. Do we have any more questions? I mean, I saw.
Just one second.
Yeah.
Before that question, and a very important thing. Communication, she has expressed as a skill development, but there is a cost of communication gap to the operator. We must understand. The operators are always concerned about the pilot and engineers. But the staff on the counter, staff on the ground, if there is a communication gap, aircraft on ground, AOG, is the term of aviation, which is directly related to the communication which she is trying to expect.
Exactly.
Operators must realize they must calculate the cost of AOG. The aircraft on ground is just like an elephant in the hangar. So please don't take it lightly. She is very right. The cost of communication is very expensive. Thank you.
I'll take one final question if Neil doesn't beat me up, because I'm out of time. Yeah, okay. So I'm taking your permission for this one. Okay, I would like Sandeep sir to answer, because we've been sitting quite for some time. Yes.
The answers are coming.
Okay.
Good evening, panel, and good evening, everyone here. I'm Pooja Raghuvanshi. I've been in the aviation industry for the last 20 years. And my question to the panel is the ATC or the IOCC, the crew, engineers, everybody working 24/7. The workforce is getting fatigued, getting aged, and if fatigue is the number one concern in aviation in this decade, what do you see is a concern for the upcoming decade in aviation? Thank you.
See, already you must have heard that in December 25, there was Indigo had grounded flights because of the FDTL requirements. And there was a lot of discussion about FDTL. Similarly, there are rules for crews as well. And now, in times to come, I think fatigue will be taken care of in a lot of ways from artificial intelligence. When we talk about the crew rostering or the OCCs in the airlines, AI is going to play a role wherein the human intervention will be kind of minimized.
Yeah. So I think I think in terms of fatigue, nobody to answer it better than ATC people.
He's making relevant points. I think you should continue. So please.
Yeah. So yeah, but I think.
I want to talk about the previous decade. When I was doing ATC, we didn't have a clear off. There was no fatigue. I used to do extra night duties. I did my night duty and I did my masters in philosophy.
No, but children are sensitive these days.
There's no fatigue.
Where the bands are coming up now?
No. So I think if I go that side toward the ATC building, people will shoot me. I'm not guys who train their guns on me. No. Okay. So coming back again, I mean you can't discount it either. That is one of the reasons why the International Civil Aviation Organization, the IFALPA, took it up first, and so you have the flight duty time limitations. And despite all these rules, organizations will try to be as lean and mean as possible, try to make pilots do flight. They push it to the extremes. So that is going to happen because they still, every organization is interested.